Now, my guests tonight are a Manchester City legend, certainly as far as I'm concerned. He might not have played the game, but he was the head of Manchester City's academy for a long time. And I would argue that during the period that this man was in charge, I know there's been an academy and a youth team before that. It came on, got better and better, and sowed the seeds for what we see today. That man is Jim Cassell. Jim, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I know you're retired now. Do you miss it?
I miss it every single day. And I think anybody that is a football person would always, I think it was Joe Mercer I once heard when I was younger saying that he needs football more than football needed him. And I think that is true. I think I need football more than it needs me at this age. But I still keep in touch with things, I do enjoy going out and helping people, do a little bit of motivational speaking, bit of mentoring with people, and I really enjoy that, But to be honest, you have your time, and you do the very best you can, and then you hope that the next generation come on and do even better.
Well, obviously, Jim, you were at City for a long time. Remind us how long you were there and what your time span was. When did you start? And when did you end?
1997. To 2013, and I was responsible for the academy until 2009, the end of 2009, and then I was used then for the last few years to help set up these international academies around before my time came up. Absolutely fabulous. Every single day was brilliant. It was not a chore to work at Manchester City, I can assure you. And let's reminisce a bit. You've got to remember, when I arrived there, we finished up we're at the lowest point in our history. We had no money. We played on a girls' school. We had a fundraising group who raised all our money to buy weights, everything, anything that we needed. The club never paid for a trip to take our kids to tournaments abroad. We raised all that money ourselves. So, it was a real combined effort throughout the club. Everybody was part of the academy, and I thought that was the way to do it. That's why I made the reference to yourself when we first spoke early on. You to me were a part of that success program, the development, so it was terrific. And Philip Foden, who we just touched on, he signed for the club on the 18th of May 2008. So a bit like I remember signings, birthdays, Sean Wright-Phillips, I think it's 25th of October or the 26th. You never forget important players. And we were so privileged to work with an organisation as it was that wasn't able to fund everything at the level that it's able to do now. But I'll tell you what, it was a real pleasure to be, if you like, fronting that process of trying to get as many kids as we could through. And I mean, the fact that Foden has gone on, I think, we've talked about the manager. I think he should take the guy that introduced Philip Foden to the club was Terry John, who was in charge of our junior academy, and he worked endlessly to make sure we got Foden, And then you've got to say that the top end of it, the manager Guardiola, Pep, has done brilliantly in pacing him through the development process at that level, because he's not only helped him to develop technically as an individual player, we've already talked about it, Louisa, that you can play in any position, because he's taught him how to play his systems. So, you've got to say top marks to what's gone on with Philip Foden. And we will as a club produce more young players. There's no doubt at all. As a developer, I'm always delighted when I see players coming through. I don't mind, people think about, it's never as good when you were there. Well, of course, we don't want that. We want it to be better than when I was there, because it's so important for the development of the game, for the development of the club, that people do become better, that they evolve and go on to the next stage. So I'm always chuffed to bits when I see, whether I've had anything to do with it or not, anything that's good for the development of our club, where I spent 16 years of my working life. Our whole family of City fans, as far as I'm concerned, is terrific. You probably don't know this, but I'll tell you, when I played for Manchester Boys, you either went to City or United. I went to Man United. So when things go wrong at City, my two sons and Moira call me the Closet Red. how disrespectful is that? But there you go. If it makes them feel better because we're losing, they can blame me, So there we are. Terrific times at City. Cannot speak too highly of all the support I had. And the opportunity, I actually tell people, I think Man City did more for me than I did for Man City. It gave me, as a Manchester lad, if you get the chance to work at an organisation, a football club, and a game that we love at the level that I was privileged to work at, that is fantastic. So you'll never hear me say anything other than positive about our club. I just wish I was involved, but you have your time, as I said earlier. I loved it, and I hope that the next generation of coaches, academy managers, staff respect and enjoy the responsibility of working for Man City, as I hope we did.
Well, I know I haven't got the sort of skills that you've got, Jim, and have very little to offer compared to you. But one of my dreams was to have worked for the club. But I think my time has been and gone now. But I can appreciate how you must feel of having that honour. I do watch a lot of, and always have, as you know. I mean, when the team that you and Alex Gibson were bringing through, winning the Youth Cup for the first time for ages and all that, I just championed the fact that we covered the games more when I was working for the BBC and loved doing that. And I still go and watch the EDS, the under-18s, the under-19s, all these teams whenever I can. One of the things, though, I find the hardest to do, Jim, and I'm going to ask you your advice on this, really, is how you know when you see a young player in a team with their same age group playing in that level. How do you spot the ones that are going to make it at first team level? Because I've lost the count of how many times fans say to me, who's the next Phil Foden? Who's the next one that's going to come through? And I look at him and I think, well, at the moment, for example, I go, oh, Cole Palmer's a great player. Sam Adolzi's a great player. And I could list, Finlay Burnt. I could go through several players, but I'm never quite sure which ones are going to make it.
Well, it's difficult. Nobody is, right? I love to say we do this, we do that. I'd be a hypocrite if I said that. Basically, I'll tell you, I had two guidelines. If I was looking at a very young player, I always looked at something they were never going to lose. So Phil Foden was always outstanding as a young lad. You didn't need to be a genius to spot Philip Foden in terms of his ability. What you don't know, of course, is how they're going to develop, how they're going to progress. We've seen many, many kids that have been outstanding at 9, whatever, and at 14, they've lost the love of football. So part of our role was to not only allow them to develop, they had to develop more than me. They were in awe of me when they joined the club. I needed to be in awe of them when I handed them on. Otherwise, I hadn't done a good job. They had to grow beyond me and beyond our staff. So that was a great thing. And we had to retain that love of the game. We always said to them, look, this is the best game in the world. I said, I played 2 games in the 3rd division, and I tell everybody, right? That's why I'm telling you tonight. I'm so proud of playing 2 games in the 3rd division. Should have played more, but the manager never could spell my name on the team sheet. So that's the problem, but football has always been in our blood. I've loved every single minute. And realistically, I always stayed in football, even when I finished with the knee problem at 24. I did my coaching badges very early. But there was no jobs in the late 60s, early 70s. But I always retained some interest in football. And then obviously, the story at Oldham, where Joe and I was chief scout and Joe was the manager. We had a fantastic time there. And then when we did go into the Premiership as it is now, I was part-time then, so I had to go full-time, which was a huge wrench because I had a nice job in the local authority. Horticulture is my other great interest. And so, I suppose in some ways I'm quite unique. I've actually been at Altrincham Crematorium as a registrar and overseen cremations, and yet also the other side of life have helped produce Premiership players. So it's quite a vast range of skills that I've been lucky enough to be involved in. And of course, you come across many different types of people. I think my 19 years in local government prepared me really well for the other side of football, because many people go from school to football to football to football. I went out into the public sector, as we'd call it now. It was a real skill working in local authorities, and I had no formal skills. I just taught myself everything. I created my own university. If I needed to find out anything, I got my wife to sit with me every week, so that we taught each other the Latin names of all the plants, and I had to get 10 right every week, otherwise we didn't move on. So that's how I believe that I think now I've still got loads to offer even at my age, because you never ever cease learning, and every day is a challenge to get up, be good, be better at something. And I think that's got to be your philosophy with everything that you do. But I'll probably digress a little bit. Just to finish off on the player, I'll look for something they're never going to lose. And I think if they've got something that they're never going to lose, you can develop it. On the other side, when I used to do the senior side of the game, I used to take away their best quality and see what they had then. So, for instance, if you would take away Carl Walker's pace, for instance, but Carl Walker's still good at spotting danger. He's got a great attitude. So you'd say, yeah, he might lack a yard in pace. I think a classic, you mentioned the Youth Cup, Ben Mee has done absolutely brilliantly. Ben Mee is an absolutely ace of a bloke, top parents when he was coming through. And, it's great to see him play and captain Burnley. I'm hoping in a couple of weeks to go over to Atletico Madrid. Kieran Trippier texted me to see if I'd love to come to a game. Now travel's a bit easier. It was never a difficult decision to say yes, was it? So hopefully the next home game, I think it's the end. I think I missed the Everton game if I do that one. So, but it'd be a great experience. Be lovely to meet up with Simeone if you get the chance to do that, because I think he would have fitted into our academy, because he's as nasty as we were in the nicest possible way. He wanted to deal with.